Joseph W. Brady introduces us to a very important book.
Terry, I have held this book, believe it or not, on my rear credenza on my desk for the last 25 years. And I've been in this building since April of 2010. So I've been here now literally 13 years. I was on Bonanza, I think, for 3 or 4 years, and then we were on 7th Street for 10 plus years. What is this book and what does it mean? This is a really important book. People are going to hear me do some writings about it. I love to read. I like to educate. But what I want to do is help educate the cities that were not around at the time. So there was a committee of people that represent the high desert in what they call the Victor Valley Infrastructure Enhancement Program. So take a look at how thick that is, okay? Feel this by weight. I mean, this thing is heavy. But let's go through, and I'm gonna tell you some of the people, and I mean some just absolutely great names. So back in 2019, I decided to come in on a weekend, turn on the dictaphone, kind of go through, take a look. So at the end of the day, in 1989, John Joyner was our chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and he was our supervisor for the first district. The next one was the Marcia Tarosi, okay? And they did this report to talk about the fast-growing Victor Valley and what it was going to need in the way of infrastructure, okay? Between 1988 and 1992, they were believing that we needed $377 million. Between 1993 and 2010, $822 million. And total by 2010 of $1.2 billion. Now, what does that represent? That was water, sewage, drainage, roads, schools, parks, fire, police, and libraries. Okay? I can tell you this, we only hit a portion of this. So the committee that was a part of this, I mean, this is back in the day, Terry, when I came here, and I mean, Joe Watson was around, and Don Brown had Mastercraft Homes, and Roy Vance, and I mean, it was a vibrant place. It was small. We had 125,000 people. We got 500,000 a day. And if people don't like the traffic on Bear Valley Road or Highway 18 or Main Street, let me tell you, it's only going to get worse because development's coming here, whether we like it or not. I mean, there's just a 1 million square foot distribution center approved on Ottawa near Sperry Road in a great location with the only rail spur left in the high desert. But the people I want to take my hat off, Carl Coleman, okay? I've known Carl before I came here, and his son Randy. Cliff Earp, a great guy. I mean, I just ran to Cliff the other day at the bank. We both bank at the same bank. And the only time I ever run into him is at the bank. I only go every once in a while. I think he goes every day. So, Cliff, I think you got a bigger bank balance than I do, but God bless you. Percy Bacher. One of the first checks I ever got as a trustee running was from Percy Bacher. And you know what I did? I called him. I said, Percy, I hate to do this. Can I keep this check? And can you write me another one, and I'll actually deposit that check, because I was so taken back to get that check from Percy Bacher. I mean, you think about that first council, La Pignano and Val Scheer and George Beardsley Sr. I mean, these are people I really look up to, and I still look up to today. Herb Dowett was on there. Marty Brody. Martha Brody, God bless you. I'll send you this video, and I hope you share it with everybody on Facebook. You can even send it to the White House, which I know you won't do. Jim Phillips. So Jim Phillips, CCIM. Jim and Janie owned Century 21 Fairway for years. Their mom was in the business. He's a fellow CCIM, which is a big deal. We just opened up a building downtown Victorville the other day. It was cold. I mean, really cold. But it was great to see him. I think he's out playing golf like 5 days a week, which is good. Becky Otwell. I mean, the diehard. I mean, I don't think you can wind Becky up in the morning and you got to turn her off at night. I don't know how Leroy does it. And if you want to see how long she'll live, you should see her mom. I was at her mom's 100th birthday here last year down in Sperry. Just a lovely lady, and she has, I think, a martini every night. That's part of the secret. Rudy Cabrielas, former fire chief Victorville. Just talked to them. They're now living down in Mexico. They come back every once in a while, but they're happy. And he married Vicky, and they made a very cute couple. And Jim Cox, James L. Cox, one of my all-time favorite city managers. Probably never battled with a city manager hard, and I battled with him. But I've been invited to his house 4 times to taste some pretty good scotch, and I've just always had a huge admiration for him. He's not one that you want to argue with when he was city manager. He was actually, I used to say, the best city manager the state of California ever had. So, Jim, that's just a little plug.
You know
Bob,
who his political idol was?
who?
Because I asked him. Was Dwight Eisenhower.
Was it really? Yeah, I believe it. And he's gotten mad at me a couple times. He got mad at me like 2 years ago, and we got over it. I mean, I love him to death. And Bob Dolch. I mean, Bob's I think he's still alive. He was a great council member. He was a business person. You could go talk to him about something. He treated you with respect. Chuck Bell. I mean, Chuck is out there in Lucerne Valley with Linda Gommel and that group. I'm going to tell you, from anytime I leave and I go past Dead Man's Point, I go on out there. That's who I think about. Linda and Chuck and all the great things that the people in Mitsubishi do. But Chuck was a planning commissioner. He lost his wife 10 years ago. Just an absolute consummate volunteer, does anything he can to make Lucerne Valley and the High Desert a better place. And we're all lucky to have had him. And then Mr. Al Muncy out up there in Hellendale. The final report was prepared by the County Land Management Department. Robert Oley was the principal. Molly Bowe with ODLE and Associates out of Yorba Linda, and the date of the report was November 22nd. So, Terry, what I did was in November, I wrote this memo November 6th of 2019. I have made myself a promise. Deb says, Joe, you don't have any more time. You have no time. You know what you do? You just find the time to come on in here and to go through this and figure out what you got to do. I think it's really important that if one of the cities, had some extra money and they want to make a copy for the other cities, I think that every council person should see this on up here. I think that every planning commissioner should see this. We're going to have great growth up here. And unless we address the issues that we're addressing here, Terry, we're going to run into a problem. We're going to run into the potential water moratorium that we almost had when Barstow sued the upstream users up here and we had to adjudicate the water basin. I have a feeling that with the distribution facilities coming up here, if we're not prepared, we'll have soccer dads and soccer moms oppose that and slow growth down. So I'm really encouraging. I will ask the office here if they'll send this video to every new council member. We did the earlier segment about who's new on the council, and really suggest them that the reports here, if your city wants me to deliver it and they want to make 5 or 10 copies, they can. This is really, I've never seen one since. And I'll tell you what's funny. I've never heard a supervisor, even including our current supervisor, Paul Cook, ever talk about it. Because it's not important, okay? I don't think that he thinks it's important. I don't think his staff thinks it's important. I don't even know if Don Rowe knows about this or even thinks it's important. But this is the high desert, and this is where the growth is going to go. And if we're going to need to have that infrastructure. And lastly, I was out having lunch with somebody recently. They talked about there's actually a plan at one time that talked about a big circle, a roadway that would go around the high desert region, very similar to what has gone on in Vegas. They've done a great job where the 215 splits off and goes out to the west and then curves back and comes through. The Summerlin project, they did a great job. And while we're not the size of Vegas, we're going to see that kind of growth someday. And while there was a plan at one time to do it, that plan has apparently gone sideways. And I think we really do need to get the cities together, a joint workshop, not a meeting to meet. This is about Robert's age group. This is about your great grandkids. This is not about me. I mean, we'll get through the long stoplights and the trucks on Bear Valley Road and Main Street and all that kind of stuff. This is about the next generation. So I really do implore all of our state officials. Tom Lackey's our new assemblyman, just a great guy. I've known him for a long time. I think he's going to be a great assemblyman. Scott Wilkes. Scott, I know you're passionate. He started his career in the community college system. Jay Obernolte, I just think is the greatest congressman that we're going to have. Although, Jerry Lewis was good. He brought a lot of money back when he was on the appropriation side. And hopefully Don Rowe, and maybe we'll get a call from Paul Cook personally and say, what can I do to kind of lead the charge of this? So, Terry, I just want to say, I think this is really important, and I finally brought it out, and then hopefully people will understand why I think it's important. We can't keep kicking this can down the road anymore. So, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you have a great day, and God bless America.
on upcoming Joseph W. Brady Reports Timely Topics. We hope you'll join us. Thank you for watching.